call the meeting of the Diamond Head Property Owners Association Board to order. And Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Yes. President Sislo.
Present.
Vice President Jeruso.
Present.
Treasurer Blackwood.
Present.
Secretary Burgoyne. Ex officio Becker.
Present.
Director Lee.
Present.
Director LaFontaine.
Present.
Director Nutting. Director Pino.
Here.
Director Tubbs.
Present.
And welcome to Director Griffey.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If we could now stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, minutes, please.
I move we dispense with the reading of the minutes.
And seek approval. Right, and we need it. And I'll second that motion. All those in favor of dispensing with reading the minutes, raise your hand, please. Those opposed? Okay, now, approval?
I move we approve the minutes as read.
Second.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda as it is written? Thank you, Vice President Giarrusso. May I have a second? Thank you. Mr. Tubbs. The President's report. Well, first I want to thank all the members who voted in the annual membership meeting on August 2nd. We are fortunate to welcome Dr. Arlen Ken Griffey and are glad to have him join us in the challenges that are unfolding. We're sure his perspective will aid this board in doing its best. Welcome, Ken. I'm glad you're here. To update some of the actions from the past month, our airport discussions are continuing. The issues are very complex, and we're really finding we need a lot of time to work on this. The City Council approved a resolution on August 5th regarding their interest in many of the green spaces, including the Community Center building, that we had shared in the vision of the future of the POA. The board is now reviewing the city's resolution to ensure we do the right thing for the membership within our fiduciary responsibility. Number 3, the board has continued to look at the property tax implications of each amenity. More work is in progress, including plans to evaluate the impact of property taxes on the 2026 budget. And gladly, analysis of the data from the survey has begun. A big thank you to all who shared their opinions. We had a great response. There's a newly established committee to explore, improve, and clarify the bylaws and membership, and it has begun its work and will present a proposal at this meeting. We've begun to examine what the options are for the POA organization of the future. In order to continue our work efficiently, another committee was formed to study the details of divesting the POA of amenities. That committee's charter is proposed for the board meeting tonight. We are using these committees to enhance the process of decision-making by the full board. As many of you know, a board of 11 people has a hard time finalizing discussions, just like any committee of over 10 people has a hard time making decisions. So these committees are tasked to do the legwork needed for decision-making to ultimately ensure that the board has solid, information-backed recommendations to consider to make final decisions on. The board is guided by its fiduciary responsibility to properly manage the goals and assets of the POA. We must make the best, most logical decisions for the membership and the organization that we serve, and we hope that this method will give us good data to work with. The board realizes this seems like a really slow and tedious process, and we wish all these changes would not take forever, but our desire is to do the right thing the first time in the best possible outcome for all. We're working hard in that direction. I know I represent the members of the Board of Directors and thanking you for the opportunity to serve the Diamond Head Property Owners Associations and at great amenities, and I hope we make the best decisions for you all. Thank you. Let's see, we need committee reports. Director Pino, do you have a report?
I do.
I do not have a report on the Airport Marina Committee, but I do have a report on the new Committee for the Study of Conveyance of Certain Amenities to the City. This committee, brand new, only has 4 members, which is a smaller committee than perhaps is usual, but smaller committees, a lot of times, are more effective. We met last week for the first time. We proposed a charter to describe the functions and responsibilities of the committee, and that'll be a motion for approval by the full board tonight. We had a big discussion regarding, as you might guess, the city's resolution. Just as background, earlier this year, the POA passed a vision statement, and then it had a revised vision statement where we made some changes and gave some authority to our general manager to discuss those things with the city. But then we later withdrew and we rescinded that second vision statement. So we have our original vision statement, and then the city, of course, came out with its resolution sometime after that, just a couple of weeks ago. Now, so we talked about those things. Now, our vision statement and the city's resolution do not match, unfortunately. There's things in our vision statement that are not in the city's resolution. There are things in the city's resolution that are not in our vision statement. For instance, the airport is in or isn't in with the cities. It's not they're not quite sure themselves whether they want to take on the airport. There's no Easter egg properties in the city resolution, but there was in our vision statement. And there's no money to be changed hands. No money stated in our vision statement, and there's no money stated in the city resolution either. The concept of free and the concept of a donation is not something that was in our vision statement, but it's obviously in the city resolution. So we talked about those things. We talked about them. We talked about which amenities should be conveyed to the city. We talked about whether free is the correct price. We talked about whether we should have a membership vote to approve what we decide or what the committee recommends to the board, and then the board decides whether or not a membership vote is appropriate or needed for that. We talked about our fiduciary duties, whether our fiduciary duties to the POA and to the membership even permit us to do this. We decided none of these issues, and we have no recommendations regarding those issues to share with the board. To complicate matters, we have another interested party that's come forward with respect to the community center. Very early in that, with respect to that party, not sure how serious they are, but it may be one that, if it's successful, involves a purchase, not a donation, which would be better for the POA than would a donation. 2 other interested parties are talking about acquiring the airport. I think both are serious. Both would be revenue generating, not a donation, and both would keep the airport as an airport. So we have to mix that into the everything else. Like I say, we have a motion today to approve our charter, and we have another motion. We have a couple items that we're proposing in an executive session later on after the public portion of this meeting. And we'll present some issues to the board for them to decide. And if we approve those things, we'll come back and tell you about them. If not, we won't come back and tell you about them. And that's where we are.
Thank you very much. Director Tubbs?
The Rec Committee did meet this month. We discussed a strategy to begin pulling together proposals to bring to the board later in the year, mostly focusing on staffing and other approaches to swimming pool management and other amenity upkeep that's in our portfolio. But there's no proposals, nothing for consideration today. But did want to take the opportunity to discuss the survey results. Rick, Nancy, and team have, I think put forward a really amazing effort to engage with membership on a variety of topics, and think we'll look towards posting these results publicly this week. Something we'll discuss during executive session today. But did want to kind of go over a high level kind of what we heard from the membership. To begin with, we had 1,115 responses to our survey, which by any measure is an exceptional response rate and far exceeds anything that we've ever been able to achieve as a POA in the past. I think similar surveys have been, in the 200 to 300 range. So you're over a 30% response rate, gives you a pretty good level of confidence in the data and the representation of what it stands. So to kind of walk through high level, the first question, is focusing on covenants, and about 19% of respondents were in covenants that never expire. About 5%, only about 58 people who responded were in that smaller group that expires either in 27 or 29. The vast majority of the respondents, the 48%, was the largest, and these are folks who have already had covenants expired. And then there's a good bit of people who still don't know. 28% don't know. So that's useful data, to frame the context of the next questions. The next question focuses on whether or not you pay for a membership. So only 64 people responded to the survey who do not pay for membership. So that shows that there's a challenge in engaging potential new members that we didn't really break through and get a large number of them. But 86% of respondents said that they're paying their membership fees by choice. And I think that says a lot about the viability for us moving forward. We are no longer reliant only on covenants to keep the organization successful, and only 8% of our respondents to this 90 people said I pay because I have to pay. And so that was a really a small number that provides me at least some optimism. Next question talked about rates. About 31% said they would pay higher dues if they were required to maintain the amenities at the service levels that they have today. And then about 50% said they're looking to this board to make good decisions balancing cost and service, but would be open to increased rates. So that's 80% of respondents telling us that they would be open to paying more on a monthly basis to maintain the quality and the atmosphere and levels of service that have kind of defined the organization in years past. In terms of the prioritization, we've in previous surveys, we've asked for the importance of each amenity, and what we've seen in those surveys is that everything's important to everybody, right? So this survey, we took a different approach, and we essentially asked folks to rank their top 10 priorities among our amenity portfolio. And I'll kind of just go through the top 10 most critical amenities as identified by the membership. The first one was Latitude 30, the patio and grill. The Cardinal Golf Course was second. The Club main pool was third. The Pine Golf Course. The East Rec rounds out the top 5. And then walking trails. I was a little surprised to see how much value came through for the walking trails, but they were definitely very popular. The golf shop, North Rec, club events and parties, and then the marina rounds out the top 10. And again, we'll share this out with the membership online so that folks can see where everything came in. There was summaries provided to capture all of the thoughts behind the comments that received. And so, influence on ranking on the rankings. The first thing, pools, golf courses, and dining venues consistently rank high because people use them the most. Community value beyond personal use. Many respondents acknowledged amenities they don't personally use, but they recognize the value to the broader community even though they don't use them. So that was a theme that we heard in the comments. There's a strong appreciation for the level of upkeep that we have in landscaping and curb appeal that many folks cited. There was several comments noting a decline in perceived quality in certain areas, including food service, and the loss of pool attendance was a common thread. And they talked a lot about how the amenities support an active resort style of character in Diamond Head, and that's that resort style of living is highly valued by members. So the recommendations to the board is to make sure we protect our core strengths, including the pools and the golf courses. The recommendation is to reinvest in dining and service, and better highlight our community-wide benefit, listen and adapt and regularly gather feedback from the members, and then balance use and appeal. Other suggestions in terms of business that we're currently not providing and maybe should. There were a lot of calls for doing what we're already doing, right? Looking to bring back popular menu items that have fallen off the menu. Call to simplify menus and work on well-executed options. There was a theme of folks wanting more casual and approachable dining rather than high-end concepts. A lot of folks put forward new retail ideas. Coffee shops was a common thread. Dessert and ice cream bars, frozen yogurt, and the addition of hydration stations along the walking trails were frequently seen. There was a lot of calls for family and youth engagement, focusing the recreation department with more frequent activities for children and teens, emphasis on attracting and retaining younger families through active programming. There was some suggestion that we get rid of underperforming assets and operate the POA as a business. There's frequent mention of staffing issues within the food service. And there is, among the membership, a mixed perspective on whether or not we should be expanding rather than focusing on our core amenities that we already provide. So all of those themes, and detailed sub-bullets will be available for everybody to read when we post and share. But my big takeaway, again, is that there is a strong support for our organization among our membership. When you see numbers, of over 80% saying I pay because I want to pay, and I'm willing to pay more if I need to pay more to keep this organization what it is. So thank you again, and I know Nancy and folks work really hard on all of that, and appreciate the effort right by you and the whole team. So, thanks.
Thank you very much. Director LaFontaine, do you have a report?
Yes, the House Committee met on August the 7th. Staff Development and Training Program began today, which addresses some of the things that were on the survey Michael just discussed. Steak Night has always been a big success, and it continues. And we're having a menu tasting that is scheduled for August 27th, and the seating is completely booked for that event.
Great, thank you. How about Treasurer Blackwood?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Vice President Giarrusso?
I'd like to start by saying thank you from the board for spearheading the survey. I think that was very important for our community and very important for them to see. Facilities didn't meet this month, but I do have a motion on the board from on the agenda for last month, and we'll get into that at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Let's see, how about ex officio Becker? Do you have a report?
I defer.
And Director Lee?
There was no meeting with the Golf and Grounds Committee as I was out of town. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. May we have the General Manager's report, please?
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to focus on two areas today. One is going to be the financials, and then we'll talk a little bit about the budget process. Revenue for the month was $711,000. Expenses we were able to keep down at $692, and provided a $19,000 positive operational aspect of the business. However, the P&L was still minus $43,000 due to the high depreciation costs. Revenue in the restaurant continues to be our biggest challenge. Obviously, it's the 15% discount that really drives the numbers down. We'll be taking a look at that in our budget process to see if we have to make some slight adjustments there. As Ronnie had talked about, we've implemented Steak Night. We've gotten excellent reviews on Saturdays. We brought in live music as well on the patio. And with the fall coming up and the weather getting a little cooler, we will be having live music on the patio every Saturday night moving forward. As well, ballroom events are beginning to now pick up because the fall season is hitting. Again, as Ronnie had said, we've got our food tasting on August 27th to get a preview of the new and improved menu, and we're excited about that. Our bank balance is now at $540,000, very low. This is the time of year when our cash flow is most challenged. The summer months are slow. We've got a lot of heat, high heat, rain, and that drives everything down. And then the other part of it is that with the struggling financial aspect of things over the past few years, we're always chasing funds. So we bring funds in for next year in November and December, but we end up using those to pay off the next year, and that leaves us somewhat short. So our next process is to work on increasing our cash on hand to eliminate this practice. We're expecting fall months to be more profitable, an increase in golf volume, outside events. Nancy's brought in quite a few groups coming in the fall, and we've got a huge ballroom calendar as well. As I talked about before, we're beginning to prepare budgets for 2026. Our goal is to create a budget that allows us to increase our cash on hand and spend on needed capital improvement projects. That's been difficult in the past. In order to get there, this is likely going to require an increase in POA dues. I just have looked the numbers up and down every way there is, and I just can't see how we're going to get around not increasing the dues. The ultimate goal is to make these adjustments in 2026 and become fiscally sound moving forward, so we don't have to chase this year after year. And that's the game plan. That's what I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does any board member have a question?
Yes, I have a couple questions for you, Rick.
Yes.
There's been some rumors that I've heard about anyway throughout the community, something to the effect of the POA's finances are so dire that they're not going to make it this year.
Not true.
Okay, so that's my question. Do you see any reason why we can't pay our bills as they generally come due for the rest of this calendar year?
Well, we may have to take a small upfront loan. That's something that we have that set up already in our system, and that's not unusual for businesses of this type. It has nothing to do with saying that we don't have enough money to survive. We have plenty of money to survive, and on a monthly basis, our cash flow is keeping us going.
So the second part of that, I guess, is something that happened new this year in the 55 years existence of this POA has never happened before, which is we get to pay property taxes next year for 2025. Do we have the money to pay the property taxes that are going to come due for 2025 next year when the bill comes?
Well, we put that into the budget, so I put the full property taxes in the budget because I didn't know how long it was going to take us to make the changes on the amenity transfers, if in fact we do that. So I put all of the taxes in the budget. We are working with Jimmy Ladner to get the taxes reduced, but they are in the budget. However, as I said before, in order to make us fiscally sound, have enough capital to move forward, and increase our cash on hand, so we're not struggling in the slow summer months. We are likely to have to increase the dues.
Okay, and you said something about a small borrowing, something that we may have to do something all corporations do.
Yeah, we're not going to run out of money,
Okay.
but we just have to have that amount of money to run on a monthly basis.
Okay, two more quick questions. Last month, we had a motion regarding a lot consolidation issue. Has that been implemented in any way yet, or is that?
Yeah, we've implemented it. I can't tell you, honestly, it hasn't been a priority of mine to follow up on it in detail, but we have implemented it.
Okay, let me just make an advertisement for anybody who wants to listen to this is, if you are a member in good standing and you have a vacant POA-owned lot next to you, contiguous to your property, we're going to make it easy for you to buy that extra lot and consolidate it with your lot and only pay one set of dues, not two sets of dues. So we're providing some incentive for you to do that. Final question for you. There's been some talk about a kitchen renovation project. What's going on with that?
Kitchen renovation project does need to happen. We need a new floor. We have to replace some older equipment. However, we're trying to find the proper time to be able to do that to minimize impact to the business. Because in the spring months, we have a huge amount of ballroom events with the Mardi Gras, and then the golf hits. So it's likely going to have to wait until the summer months coming up next year in order to find a window of opportunity. We're going to need 2 to 4 weeks of downtime where we're not going to be able to produce from the kitchen other than hot dogs and hamburgers and things of that nature.
Can I elaborate on that for you, just from a facilities perspective?
Sure.
Is that we've already done the legwork and got figures together, but it doesn't work with the timing, if that makes sense.
But
So it's never been presented to the board.
gotcha. That was my next question.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to be discussed by the board at the appropriate time.
It will.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
And it will be built into the capital budget.
But this is a 2026 project, you're
Correct.
thinking? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, are there POA member comments on agenda items?
There are not.
Okay, let's proceed then to the regular agenda. The first item is motion 2025-26, and that's a motion to purchase 2 sea containers at 20 feet by 8 feet for storage to be located at the back of the loading dock behind the kitchen at a cost of $6,800. Who would like to make that motion? Vice President Giarosa. Someone second
I'll
it?
second.
LaFontaine. Okay, what discussion? Can you explain?
So this is to help with storage. I know that plenty of things, or several things, have been brought in front of this board as far as storage for the ballrooms and additional storage. This is going to be the most cost-effective and give us the maximum value for our dollar when it comes to us being able to locate this in the back. If people aren't familiar with it, it's the loading dock area that's surrounded by the brick that's kind of in the front of the POA, the club, to the right-hand side, so we can kind of contain it, hide it, and give our staff appropriate or enough storage to locate the things that we need for the ballrooms, the chairs, the tables, and other items, to be able to work more efficiently, I guess, if you'd want to elaborate from the House Committee side of it.
It alleviates a lot of congestion, and for large events in the ballroom, we just do not have the area for serving. And this really enhances that area, gives us enough room where we can do our job efficiently.
Quality improvement project for the ballroom, because we'll be able to move the food into the ballroom much quicker, more efficiently, and it'll be much better for us.
So it'll alleviate that little, if you aren't familiar, there's probably a 400 or 500 square foot room that we're storing all this equipment in, or tables and chairs or access stuff, and it'll give us a chance to have that room be utilized what it's meant for, I guess, if that makes sense.
Set up room for the large events in terms of the food coming directly from the kitchen.
And I can speak from previous boards, we have looked at building things, adding things, doing things that were much more expensive than this cost. So this does appear to be a low-cost solution to a big problem that's been going
This might
on.
be 10% of what other avenues that we've looked at. This might be 10% of the cost.
And we've already got the other SMs open to
Okay, cool. Any other comments or discussion about this motion? Okay, then I call the motion to purchase 2 sea containers at 20 feet by 8 feet for storage to be located at the back loading dock behind the kitchen at a cost of $6,800. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Next motion is to approve the charter of the Committee for the Study of Conveyance of Certain Amenities to the City, attached as Exhibit A. I hope you've had a chance to look at it. It mimics, I need to have a motion, please.
I make that motion.
Okay, second from Vice President Giarrusso. Pino and Giarrusso. Okay, the Exhibit A is here. This is a charter that follows the format of other charters of the committee. As you can see, it is a smaller committee. What comments would you like to say, Chairman?
I don't have much to say about it. We sent this around about 10 days ago to the committee itself. The committee talked about this at the meeting last week, and the committee members approved it. It's pretty garden variety, generic charter language for us.
Again, this would be a committee that would advise the board. This is not a committee that functions on its own, as usual. Is there any other discussion?
I just have a quick question. When it says term, each committee member shall serve until removed or replaced by the board. How is that with the term ending for a committee member? Does it continue to go after that, after the term of the director or executor?
No.
So it ends with the term of their term?
This is only for directors, so if you're no longer a director, your term automatically expires.
Gotcha. Thank you for clarification.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I call the motion to approve the charter of the committee for the study of conveyance of certain amenities to the city, attached as Exhibit A. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Motion 2025-28 to authorize the president, in consultation with the general manager and staff, to contract for the listing of residential lots owned by the Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association with real estate brokers and agents, to negotiate and commit DHPOA to sale prices, terms, and conditions that are reasonable and in the best interest of the DHPOA. Upon review by general counsel, execute any and all documents in furtherance thereof. Authorize staff to perform administrative acts consistent with hereby, and retroactively ratify all previous agreements and transactions entered into by President Sislo from the commencement of her term, July 15th, 2024 through present. I'm going to make that motion. Would anybody second it? Okay, it's seconded. I'd like to speak to this quickly, and that is we have been functioning on a previous type of motion that was not quite as specific. This updates the actions of the board. It is not something new that has never been done before, but the previous statements done by previous boards really don't encompass the new actions that we have to take. Are there any questions or comments? Discussion?
I guess I have a question. What lots is this intended to cover? I mean, and the reason I ask that is there are some buildable lots, and then there's, for instance, the lots that the city included in its resolution, which may or may not be drainage lots. Are they included here as well?
The drainage lots are not included in here. These are the ones that have been deemed viable, have been on our books for an extended period of time. We've had them for sale for a long time, and
I
be
guess
this process.
I guess I would suggest, just as part of this process, I have no problem with the motion, but just as a part of the process is that I am not convinced that all of the lots that we think are drainage lots that are appropriate to give to the city are really drainage lots. So somebody, before we actually give away a drainage lot, what we think is a drainage lot, somebody, whether it's a real estate agent or somebody, needs to really verify that those really are drainage lots.
I'm trying to think if one of the subcommittees would be a good one to handle that, but I think you have a good point.
I mean, I think the reason we got into this problem is because a committee of us went and reviewed lots and made decisions. I know I did, and I don't know what I was doing. I mean, I'm not a drainage lot guy. I don't know what's drainage lot or what's not a drainage lot. So maybe a real estate agent who would have to sell it would say, I can't sell that, and that's a good indication maybe that it's a drainage lot. But
So I think that we would have to get an engineer on board to actually give us the hardcore black and white.
yeah, I'm not looking for an in-depth study, but for instance, some of the lots that the city put in their resolution, I went out and I did my 5-minute look at it, and they looked like a buildable lot to me. I'm just saying, before we either sell or give away lots, somebody more competent in this area than me needs to go and look at them and say, yes, this is buildable, no, it's not buildable.
We should engage the water board. They should have a lot of information on what constitutes drainage and drainage lots.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Again, I think this, Mr. Tubertini, you have an idea for us.
Madam Chairman, I think this might, since the lots that Director Pino is referring are those lots that are in the city's resolution generally,
Yes.
I think addressing this issue falls within the purview of the committee that is studying conveyance of lots to the city. So perhaps at its next meeting, that committee can make a recommendation to the board. To the extent engineers should be hired or in consultation with folks who know this stuff.
All right, so what you're saying is, I'm trying to punt this, and you're saying, no, I can't punt it.
You punted it to yourself.
Okay, the committee will take a look at it again, I guess, and
So in the meantime, if it's a sellable lot, we can go ahead and sell it.
Oh, the ones that
and refer to the others to the amenities committee.
yeah, the ones that are clearly sellable, yeah, have at it.
Okay.
And you may want to look at, talk to the city engineer, because I think the lots with developed came from the city engineer looking at it for drainage.
And that would be another one the amenities committee could do.
Sure, okay,
Okay, any other conversation about this motion?
yeah.
I don't want to repeat the whole thing completely, so I'm just going to say a motion to authorize the president to do these things. Motion 2025-28. All those in favor of motion 25-28, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. Thank you for the work. Motion 2025-29. A motion to approve a resolution to develop and consider adoption of bylaws converting the Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association, Inc. to a voluntary membership-based organization as recommended by the Membership and Bylaws Revision Committee and attached as Exhibit B. May I have a motion? Vice President Giarusso, is there a second? Director Tubbs? Okay, what questions, comments, discussion, please?
I have a question now.
Sure.
When I read this, I read that this committee or this resolution has already decided that it's going to be a free for everybody. Is that what this recommends?
Talk more into the microphone so people can hear you.
Okay, when I read it, I read that this is going to be, if you don't want to belong to this organization, you don't have to. And that includes 1,000 lots that already are encumbered by the POA, by their ownership, to be paying members of the POA. And what I read is we've jumped to a conclusion that they're not going to have to be members. Is that correct? Is that what we're proposing here?
No, that is not the plan of the proposal. The proposal was to put together what it would look like if, and once we knew what it would look like, bring it back to the board to see if the board would approve something like that and where we go from there. Am I explaining that correctly, Mr. Tubertini? I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, I think it might be important to look at the portion after resolved and notice there are 3 or 4 sections separated by semicolons. And the first one is that the board authorizes the president to engage outside legal counsel to advise regarding the parameters, regulations, and bylaws of voluntary members. What will this look like? It's a step one. It's not preparing any bylaws. It's not decision making, but it's to advise the committee. This is what it would look like. Give some really hard thought to whether you really want to go in this direction. And then that committee, after studying it, would come to this board and recommend to the board one way or the other. If the board decides to go forward, then you've got the second portion that says develop the bylaws. And then the third portion, I think I might have a comment there instead of a semicolon, but then recommendations to the board in the spring of 2026. And then if it gets that far, approval by the members or any submission for approval by the members in the summer of 2026. So it's a multi-step.
What I read is when it says it's volunteers. I mean, I didn't say we're going to change the way the POA is structured. We're going to look at what the changes are. But this has jumped to the conclusion that they're going to be volunteers. That's what I read in it. Am I mistaken?
I don't think you're totally mistaken, because that would be one possible option for the future. It's
Well,
not the only option.
Well, that appears to
in
be
order
the
to
option of what we're talking about.
Well, we'd
doing
like to
this.
explore that option, because right now we have this covenant-based, land-based option. But what's out there for us to work on is, we need to explore that, to see what are we, almost a business case as well as a legal case, can we? But if we don't have the right to move forward with that, how do we define the
Well, then,
future?
if we're going to go down that route, are we going to have pro formas that say how many people are going to pay? Because how will you know that?
Well, again, we'd have to get to that business case level. You're right. We have to say, is this going to be feasible?
I think we have to explore this. We had this survey, Director Tubbs gave us some really positive and results, and I think we have to explore the option of this potentially going to a member-based organization, not a property-based organization.
When I look at the organization, the way it's structured right now, we have about 50% or some odd number of people that are paying that don't have to pay, okay? We have 85% paying that have to pay. I don't see how you make this jump and think that you're changing the 85% not down to 50%. That's my dilemma.
We haven't made that decision yet, and we're not even.
But that's
just
what
asking
you're
to
saying, that we're
explore.
looking at that. Okay, that's my point, okay?
For us to end up as a voluntary association would have to mean that we go through this exercise, we draft the bylaws, we do a lot of other things, and then the committee thinks enough of it to make a recommendation to the board that says we should go through with this, and then the board would have to adopt it, and then you'd have to have the membership vote to approve the bylaw change. You need all those things to happen before we ever become a voluntary association. So we're a long way from being a voluntary
Well, it's worded
association.
like that's the way we're headed, and that's what I read, okay? So, and the other thing I have an issue with is normally when we have these, we have an idea of how much the cost is going to be. Nowhere in here does it say how much the legal fees may be. So it sounds like we're given an open check to go ahead and do this.
I would hope that you would appreciate us as board members enough to know that we're not going to have an open checkbook to Mr. Tubertini.
So who's going to be in charge of checking that? And
The
getting
whole
that-
committee's going to be in charge, and we all receive, as well as you as a treasurer, receive what Mr. Tubertini's fees
So are we
are
going to
each
receive
month.
an estimate before he does it? Or after he's done
I
it?
assume that he can give us a pretty good idea of what it would cost. This is just an opportunity to explore, to give you guys an idea of what was discussed in this committee.
I've given that some thought, if the board is interested in hearing what it might be. If it takes it all the way, Madam Chairman, may I?
Please.
If after the initial delivery of the parameters of this thing and what it might look like to the committee, if they choose to go forward, and if this board choose to go forward, and if we go all the way through the board, or excuse me, the members voting at the meeting in July of 2026, 11 months from now, my estimate would probably be about 50 hours of work. Might not get that far, because once we do the first 10 or 15 hours of work and say, this is what it's gonna look like, we might shut it down, and that might be the end of it. But 50 hours of work, well, I gotta do some math, that could end up being somewhere between $10,000 to $14,000 for a year's worth of work to handle a major conversion of this organization,
Thank you.
subject to change.
I wish we had
Subject to reduction.
Always.
spoken like a treasurer, appropriately spoken like a treasurer. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're concerned.
I want you
Julius.
guys all to understand how difficult it is for an attorney to give an estimate of future fees.
It is for anybody.
They don't like to
So
do
it
it.
is for a contractor, isn't it?
No comment.
Okay.
What other discussion questions does anybody have? Okay, hearing no further discussion, I'm going to call the vote. Let me see if I can read it properly. Motion to approve a resolution to develop and consider adoption of bylaws converting the Diamond Head Property Country Club and Property Owners Association, Inc., to a voluntary membership-based organization as recommended by the Membership and Bylaws Revision Committee and attached as Exhibit B. All those in favor? All those opposed? Please represent that Treasurer Blackwood and yourself are opposed. The motion carries. We now need to recess to an executive session. Those of you who are attending are welcome to stay because we will come back and give you some information on the results of the executive session. I have no estimate on how long we will be. Sorry. Thank you.